or welcome back to my channel, and today I'm gonna be doing a mid-year wrap-up of all the books that I've read so far. Anyway, so I would like to start off by saying my reading goal for this year, which is 50 books, and I'm very happy to say that I've already read 46 books, and it's only June. So I might increase my reading goal a little bit depending on my mood, and I hope the momentum of it continues, but we shall see how it goes. So I began the year by reading the Twisted series, and I would like to say that it was entertaining, but they're not my most favorite series that I have read. The next series that I read is, just a second, I had read the first book of the series in December, and then I read the rest of the books in the next year, which is the Percy Jackson series. And I would just like to show you guys my beautiful annotation. I'm very proud of it. Anyway, this series, don't even get me started. I have to thank my friend, my close friend, for recommending this, because this was her childhood, and then I was like, you know what, I've not read a lot of fantasy books, so I would like to see how it is. And it's safe to say that I love it. It's an amazing series. So next thing I read is Final Offer by Lauren Asher, and I gave it 5 stars, and it's the last book of the Dreamland Billionaire series, and I loved it. It had a very nice, satisfactory ending to it, so there that is. And the next books I am very excited to talk about. I read Emily Henry for the first time, and this was the first book that I read of hers, Book Lovers, and it was amazing. I gave it 5 stars. And for anyone who is trying to get into romance, I think Emily Henry would be really good for beginner readers, beginner romance readers, because her books, the way she writes is very captivating and very easy to read, and also they are very meaningful stories, and it's just not like the girl falls in love with the boy and then there's nothing else in the story apart from their love, or how much they love each other. The characters on their own have their own stories, and they have their own lives, which you can learn about in these books. So that's why I love Emily Henry so much. And this was the first book that I read this year of hers, and I loved it. It was 5 stars. And I immediately read Beach Read by hers, which is also a 5 stars, and this is my most favorite book out of Emily Henry's. So I read People We Meet on Vacation, and I'm sad to inform that I did not like that book as much as I liked Book Lovers or Beach Read. I don't really know why, but I still love Emily Henry. I'm gonna buy whatever she writes. I'm gonna read whatever she writes. I'm gonna buy and read whatever she writes. But I just didn't like this book as much. And it's a friends to lovers trope. So yeah. Alright, the next book that I read was My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. It's a fast-paced, vacation-y kind of book, and a small mystery, finding out who did it. It's like a whodunit, like that. But yeah, it was okay. I would recommend it if somebody wants to read something fast-paced and vacation-y and stuff. But then I really think Tessa Bailey books are not for me, because the next books that I read are It Happened One Summer and Hook, Line and Sinker, both of which I rated 3 stars, because I did not love it. It was good. It was okay. It was a good read, so I gave 3 stars. I didn't give it 4 or 5 because it wasn't really good. It didn't connect with me. I didn't the book or the characters didn't stay with me for a while after reading it. I quickly forgot about them. So yeah, that's that. Okay, so the next thing that I read is Every Summer After, and I had a lot of expectations for this book because I heard a lot of good things about this book from a lot of people, and especially the Bookstagram community. But it didn't hit too good for me. I did rate it 4 stars. I did like it, but like it's a very long and like drawn out book for no reason at all. It's very long. Like I feel like the book could have been much better if it was like concised into like 300 or 350 pages. But yeah. And the next book that I read is one of my all-time favorite poets, which is Whitney Hansen, and this is her second book called Climate. And this is another poetry book. This is her second book. The first book that she wrote is Home, her first poetry book. This is amazing. Like her like poems like are very simple, easy to connect to, very relatable. So I would absolutely suggest people to read this. This is 4.5 stars because I feel like I loved Home better than this, but then it's nothing wrong with this book. It's just like I connected a lot better with Home. Maybe down the line in the future, maybe like this book will like resonate with me more, so I might rate it a 5 stars later on, but then like it's still amazing, and I think everybody should read this book. Alright, so okay, next thing I read is Before We Were Strangers. And I was in kind of a slump when I started that book, but like it took me out of the slump when I finished the book. Like the first half of the book is a little bit slow, and I rated 5 stars. This is why. So the first half of the book was slow, but then like towards the ending, the second half of the book is amazing. So like I couldn't stop myself from giving it a 5 stars. So I would definitely recommend it if people want to read a second chance romance that is very cute and like very loving and like heart wrenching like that. Next thing I read is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. This is my first book of hers that I am reading, and I absolutely loved it. It is a 5 stars for me. It's a very cute YA romance. I had not read a lot of YA romances before this, like just recently, because I had been reading a lot of like older books or like fantasy books, but then like I got back to YA romance when I read this book, and it's really good. Alright, next book that I read is Better Than the Prom, which is basically the last chapter of this book from Win's POV. And it's good. Like you kind of get what Win is thinking from the things that he says in the last chapter of this book itself. I feel like that book might have been a little bit unnecessary, like why it's a short novella, like maybe 8 pages or 10 pages or something, but then it's still good. So alright, I gave it 4 stars. And the next thing I read is Set on You, and it's a cute gym romance, and I gave it 4 stars. Next thing I read is You Deserve Each Other, and I gave it 3.5 stars. Like it was okay. Like for some reason I don't really like second chance romances that much. Like I did read Before We Were Strangers that time, I mean, which is also a second chance romance, and I loved it, but then this one just didn't hit that much. Alright, so next book that I read is From Luke Off With Love, which I gave 3.5 stars. It was an entertaining book, but again, very long for no reason at all, and I feel like a lot of things that was told in the book could have been taken out. But yeah, I still enjoyed the book, gave it 3.5 stars. Next thing I read is Things We Hide From the Light, and I gave it 3.5 stars. That is the second book in the Knock 'Em Out series by Lucy Score. The first book is Things We Never Got Over. I feel like I loved Things We Never Got Over because like I loved hearing about Naomi and Knox, but for some reason like I wasn't like really excited to hear about Nash's story. I mean, I was excited to read the book, but then like once I read the book, it felt like flat compared to the first book, and like every time I did enjoy the book was only when the cameos of Naomi and Knox were mentioned. So, but then I am really excited for reading the third book, which is Things We Left Behind, which is of Lucian and Sloane. The next series that I read is the Kiss Quotient series, and I actually really like the series. I gave Kiss Quotient 4 stars, and The Bright Test 3.5, and The Heart Principle 4.5 stars. All in all, it's a very cute series, and I like that it had characters who were autistic, so that, like, you know, it's very inclusive of people, so I like that. The next book that I read is my biggest find of this year, which is A Man Called Over, and I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I don't really cry much for books. I cry a lot for movies, but I don't cry a lot for books, and this book managed to make me cry, like bawling. So yes, absolutely, I will recommend people to read this. So the next thing that I read is Murder on the Orient Express, which for some reason I like the story and all, but then I don't really love the writing style. Maybe it wasn't because it's like an older style of writing, but yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good. I gave it 3.5 stars. Then I read One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and it was very cute. It was like very emotional, reading the book. I gave it 4 stars. Next thing I read is Daisy Jones and the Six, and I gave it 3.5 stars. So the next series that I read is the Hunger Games series, and I gave this book 5 stars. Why? Because I actually watched the movies first before reading the books, so I already knew what was going to happen, but then I just wanted to read the books because I loved this movies so much. And reading this book just made me want to rewatch all the movies again. So I got the feeling that I got when I was watching the movies. However, I did not like the second and the third book in the series, which is Catching Fire and Mockingjay. I gave Catching Fire 4 stars because Catching Fire is a really important book, which is because it's of the third quarter quell. The movie was really good. The Catching Fire is my favorite movie in the series. I feel like the game could have been talked about more in the book, because the game in the book only started in the last 150 pages. So I was like, that is just a waste of time. So I didn't like it. And Mockingjay just fell very flat. I only rated 3 stars. The next series that I read is the continuation of the Percy Jackson series, and which is the Heroes of Olympus series. And again, I would like to showcase my brilliant annotations. This series, again, just like the Percy Jackson series, it's absolutely amazing. I recommend everybody to read it. Whoever wants to get into fantasy, read this. It's amazing. Alright, so next thing that I read is Ballad of Songbird and Snakes, which is the prequel to the Hunger Games series. I, for one, was absolutely excited to read this book, but I am very sad to say that it not live up to the expectation. I only gave it 3 stars. I was being nice when I gave this a 3 stars. For some reason, it didn't give me the feeling that I got when I read the actual Hunger Games. And Snow is the absolute worst. I hate him. I thought I was gonna have empathy for him, understand why he became a villain. He's just born villain. He's just evil throughout and throughout. But that's fine, right? What I was disappointed with this book is that there's a lot of plot points that could have been explored more, talked about more. Maybe it could have had more connections with the actual Hunger Games, with Katniss Everdeen. So I don't want to spoil it, but then when you read this, you will know. I would want people to read this, because to know some of the things about Cornelius Snow, but then I would also ask people to just completely skip this and maybe watch the movie. Since the movie is going to come out in November, maybe the movie is going to be better than this. But I was very disappointed. Alright, the next thing that I read is Daughter of the Deep by Rick Riordan, and it is a really nice book. Like, I loved Rick Riordan's writing style, so it wasn't like a shock that I didn't like this book. I rated it 4 stars. So the next thing I read is Carrie Soto is Back. Like, I was very shocked of how much I liked this book. I gave it 4.5 stars, and like, I have not watched tennis a lot. I don't follow tennis. I'm not like a big fan or anything, but after reading this book, I wanted to start watching tennis, because like, it made me like tennis that much. So absolutely recommend people to read this book. This is an amazing book. It's very easy to read also. Alright, and now coming to June. So now I'm just going to tell what are all books I've read so far, because it's still June when I'm going to upload this video. So the first book that I read in June is Love Wager by Lynn Painter. Lynn Painter. So I gave it 4 stars. So I think about like till 50 or 60% of the book, I loved it. I really thought I was gonna give it 5 stars, because it was so good. The banter between the main characters was so good. I thought like, after I finished this book, I would want to go back and start reading it, but there was a miscommunication trope, and I do not like that. Like, it's a red flag for me. It's an immediate turn off for me. So I did not like the fact, and that's why I bumped it down from a 5 star to a 4 star. 4 star. 4 star. I would still recommend this book to people, but this is actually part of a series. This is the first YA novel of Lynn Painter, and I feel like she writes this is the first adult novel of Lynn Painter, and I feel like she writes YA better, compared to Better Than the Movies, and comparing this. I did love this, but then like the miscommunication, just did not like that. So yeah, so like I was saying, this is actually part of a series, and the first book of the series is called Mr. Wrong Numbered. And that book, I am being nice. I am not a harsh rater, but then I'm being nice when I say that I gave the book 3 stars, because the book, there were so many red flags about that book. I don't really want to get into it, but if you guys want to hear about the books that I didn't like, that I mentioned in this video, or books that I love, you can like comment down, and I'll make another separate video of them. But like, I would say, happily skip the first book. You don't actually need to have read the first book in order to read Love Wager. Skip the first book. You're not missing anything. Just get into the second book, and I love it. I think there's a third book coming too. Alright, so the latest book that I read is Happy Place. Again, this book was the most awaited book, most talked about book of Emily Henry's. I liked it. I gave it 4 stars. But then again, there was the miscommunication. Okay, first of all, I really want to say I still love Emily Henry, by the way. Like I said, she's an autobiographer for me. But like, I just didn't love this book as much as I love Beach Read, because like, her writing is much better. Her analogies and the way she describes being in love, that is so good. Like, you would want to be in love with somebody like that. But like, towards the end, the miscommunication trope just did it for me. Just like, I didn't like that, so like, I bumped it down 1 rating, 1 star. So that's about it. And I am currently reading Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood, and so I will be talking about that in my next second half of the year wrap up. So I really hope you liked this video. Anyway, you can comment down any recommendations that you want for video recommendations, video ideas, and I would be very happy to do it. Alright then, bye bye.